Good evening and hello, Internet. Welcome to the game brought to you by Dungeon Studios. I am your host, Grumpy Old Man Merwin, joined today by the inscrutable and ever insightful Dr. Pretorius. Doc, how the hell you doing?
Yeah, doing all right. It's been a rough couple days for me, but I made it to the show, so I'm very excited.
Well, that's good. I can only promise you to make this much worse. And joining us tonight, special guest, the band members of Splintered Reality, or at least some of them. You may know them on your own, or you might have recognized them from our music video we played last week during our intermission. We got another one set up for you today. Splintered Reality, why don't you just go ahead and say hi to the Internet? 100%. We can clearly see why Rick is the singer. Now, I see lurking in the background, like he's got nothing better to do with his time, your bass player, who is not enjoying himself at all. What just happened?
Rick,
Hey, guys, hold.
audio.
Of course. Yeah, the audio just cut out for some ungodly, stupid reason. Let me just go through and check. All right. I see your audio. All right.
Engineer gave us a call, so we're just double checking.
Yeah, we're just double checking. But I see you on here. I don't know if the stream's not pulling it. Is that accurate, producer Josh? Really? Let me check the settings here, guys, really quick. I apologize. Oh, because it's on why the... Oh, God, why is it on that? Literally the worst produced podcast on the planet. That's probably my fault in some way, shape, or form. Let's try this again. Joining us, three members of Splintered Reality, an awesome, nerdy-ass, hard-rocking band. Go ahead and give your introduction again, because nothing's better than doing it twice.
Hey, if you didn't hear me the first time, my name is Mr. Rick. I'm the lead singer of Splintered Reality. I'm joined with my brothers from other mothers. This is them.
Well, as I was saying, as a person who pretends to be a musician, or at least somebody who can play an instrument, the bass player is looking like he's having way too much fun. That's not allowed. Your guitar player looks unique. Singer definitely has the attitude, and we all know your drummer is out with a chick, obviously, right?
I mean, that's. I don't know if that's accurate. I think he actually has another. So he does. He's a producer, and so he is probably making the money right now.
Money is also good.
Oh yeah, man.
Okay. So hey,
she couldn't make it here tonight. The fabulous Mindy J, our female lead vocalist, who has the luscious pipes.
Yeah, I was just checking out the Juggernaut video today, and I'm like, look, they're not all there. Damn. Oh, damn.
Oh, yeah. No,
right.
we
maybe another time.
Everybody in one place at one time that wasn't rehearsals, but we tried.
I gotta thank Rick for coming out here last minute. We kind of hooked up on the internet, the miracle of the internets, and we got him here. So we're ready to go and talk about music and its influence on the game.
Yeah, which first of all, let me start before we get into too much more. Some shameless plugs for those of you listening at home, in your cars, or on the interwebs live. Dungeon Studios is about ready to launch their next Kickstarter on Black Friday. 7 adventures set in the world of Eneron, written by myself, Dr. Pretorius, and some other people, and our crack team of misfits and nincompoops. All there ready for you. You're going to spend money on Black Friday? Please spend it with us. We appreciate that. Also, check us out on Facebook, all the socials, Patreon in particular. I believe we're set up to get money tonight, so if I have to beg, I will, but we need to buy some cool shit for the show, so please throw money our way. We really appreciate it. And if you're looking to spend money on a band, please do it to our guests so that they find their time here worthwhile and they come back and don't forsake us to the pits of hell.
That's right.
So with that being done, I got to say, first of all, I don't know, you guys existing, the fact that there are bands that are both nerds and musicians I don't know that that's possible. I fear it's going to cause a tear in the space-time continuum, open up a rift to another dimension, because here's why. Here's why. These two things don't go together, because if you're in a band, you get the chicks, and if you're a nerd, you don't get the chicks. It's like I've told people recently, in light of the Supreme Court decision recently, I just wanted to remind everybody the best way to avoid an unwanted pregnancy is to not have sex. And the best way to not have sex is to play Dungeons & Dragons. But you guys are in a band. You totally ruined that whole joke. So without any further delay, why don't you guys go ahead and give us your nerd cred? Where'd you start? What do you do? And what are you into?
Oh man, where did I start? What I do? Started from a little baby boy. Literally, like from day one, out of the womb, I was hardcore into Marvel comics. But okay, here's the thing: grew up in a fundamentalist house. Okay, so
Okay.
oh yeah. So that just pushed me to the dark side even further.
Okay.
You know how that goes.
Where were you? Can I ask where you were?
Northern Virginia.
Okay.
So in the DC area,
Okay.
and wasn't allowed to watch He-Man, wasn't allowed to play with She-Ra, wasn't even allowed to watch G.I. Joe because it didn't have a realistic idea of what death could be, right? So
Wait, are you mean to tell me that the bad guys actually hit people with the laser guns? That's what's supposed to happen?
Right. Oh, first off, the laser guns? Come on, people. So the second that I could, like, every little nook and cranny of pop culture and nerddom that I could get my hands on, I would. So my first, so I was playing secretively Vampire the Masquerade,
Nice.
Rocket Bruja, that's what's up, and rolled through. I am now, so I am a proud father myself.
Oh,
And
very nice.
been the go-to DM for the past 4 years on their campaigns.
Nice. Excellent.
So that's our family bonding.
Wonderful.
And, yeah, and we can go down rabbit holes with anything from literally all of the Star Wars, all of
Okay.
next gen and original series.
Nice.
Okay. I see you're wearing the Voyager shirt. It's just time in my life where I
Oh,
got
God.
so separated. That's okay.
Well, that's I know we're going to find plenty of things to disagree and argue about. So your bandmates in the back, are they nerds the same as you, or?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. No. This is we do this because we love this.
All right, we'll give it up. So what are you guys into? Where'd you start?
Go.
I guess I started on Next Gen when I was a kid. When I was
Okay.
My mom would watch it, and I'd watch it with her. And I definitely got back into that now that you can stream everything.
Well, Next Gen was great. I mean, that just exploded
luscious.
sci-fi back into the scene at the end of the '80s, and then everything exploded. You have Babylon 5, and then then there's all the spin-offs, and it was really something at that point. So it must have been a great time to be a kid too, to have that much variety.
Yeah,
for us, it was
awesome.
like there's just that old Star Trek rerun with Kirk that we had to watch like a billion times.
Oh, those were great. And hey, real quick, before I get some info from your bass player in the back there, I want to apologize for claiming I was a musician. I just am the guy that I can play the instrument. I am not a musician. I heard you guys play. You are phenomenal. I love the music. So give it up, bass player, man. So how'd you get into it?
Playing the bass.
Or nerds, whatever you want to talk about.
Being a nerd, started off being a nerd. My first experience in understanding, knowing that I myself was a nerd was when I preferred staying inside over going outside. I like watching, playing video games as opposed to going outside and playing football and stuff like that. I say about middle school, I got into Dragon Ball Z real heavy, and I stay
All
real
right.
heavy.
Yeah, that'll do it.
See,
I
I
had uh, my hair was like really really long. I had a really long afro to the point where I straightened it,
okay.
put it up in a ponytail, and everybody was calling me Goku for like the rest of my pretty much my entire seventh grade year.
Nice.
So they kind of spun off from there. Grew up
Yeah.
a little bit, started delving into other animals and stuff.
Very nice, man. Very nice. Dude, I never got into I never got the hook with Dragon Ball Z. I love anime. Have you guys ever seen some of the classics? Record of Lodoss Wars. Have you guys seen that one?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
phenomenal. Definitely phenomenal. I love a lot of that stuff. We already went through our nerd cred with on our first show, but I'll give you guys a little bit. For me, it was a couple of things. I was born in '77, so I remember going to see Empire Strikes Back.
Oh,
A little, like I have vague memories, but I remember everything about going to see Return of the Jedi when I was 5 years old. Dad hooked me on Star Wars forever. I got into Next Generation, all the comic book stuff, and then when I was in I think seventh or sixth grade. Like a lot of lonely, nerdy kids, man, I was in the library and I stumbled across a cool-looking book cover. It happened to be Dragons of Winter's Night, the second book in the Dragonlance series. So I just devoured that. I tracked down all the others in the series, and then obviously I'd read The Hobbit, at one point in time, and then my journey just went from there. Much like you guys, my mother thought that for some reason I couldn't go play games because all the pedophiles were looking to kidnap the 200-pound, 6-foot-tall 12-year-old. Clearly, I'm the sexiest thing out there and the easiest one to shove in the van. So I could only go. Yeah, guys, it's a lot of bad jokes. I use them all the time. You don't have to laugh. It's more fun if you do. But this is the thing, yeah. So I could only go if it was with my friend Mikey, who's a smaller dude, because they would obviously kidnap him first. So my mom was looking out for me the whole time. I had to buy my first set of dice from his older brother Jimmy like I was buying drugs.
Nice.
Yeah.
What you got, man? What you got? Oh, you got a D20?
I will tell you, dude, Jimmy. So I'm sure you guys watch Stranger Things, right?
Oh yeah.
So Mike's older brother Jimmy is the Eddie Munson of our apartment complex. Plays guitar, into metal, badass dude, the long hair, and he was the DM. So now, Doc, give us the short and long of how you started, so the band knows.
I was born in the late '60s, and I played D&D during the whole '80s satanic craze, and you'd have to go to like the toy store and like ask the guy for the secret box, and he'd bring you in the back room like it was a porno movie room or something, But no, I had to ask you. That's why I was thinking about that, trying to get the stuff. You said Northern Virginia, you were kind of secluded. Did you have to go like on like mad trips to like get?
Oh yeah, dude. So I ended up. So I had I had the Ninja series, right, from where D&D had it was an official AD&D pewter figure, and it was like assassins, and they were all dressed as like
Right.
ninjas.
I know exactly what
Like,
you're
do you
talking
guys
about.
remember that, right?
I can see the box, right?
And you can see the right. And all of it, like my mom found it, and it was that video from like that commercial from the mid '70s. It's just like, where'd you learn how to do this? I learned it from watching you. It literally
It's a
was
great commercial.
Like, where did you get this stuff? I was like, you know John Roadhouse's dad. He knows a guy, and I got it out of the back of a van.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I'm dealing drugs, Mom. I'm sorry, Mom.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It would be much easier. Like I said, I always joke, man. When we were coming up in it, it was a miracle to find anyone you could play with. And once we got old enough to think about like girls and being cool, we had the code red so that you would know. Like you can't, it's a buddy call you up like, hey, dude, you want to talk about the game tomorrow night? I'm like, nah, dude, I'm code red. I can't talk about that right now because you didn't want anyone to know. So really quick, I want to move, before we get into our main stuff, I want to go over a little section that I call shit I forgot. I talk a lot, I get distracted really easy, and whatnot. But we were talking last week, guys, I don't know if you checked out the show, but we were talking last week about Wizards of the Coast picking up a cultural sensitivity reader, whatever it was called. And we had a good discussion.
Yeah.
We had a good discussion about that. Consultant, thanks. And there was a point that I forgot to make. I wanted to bring it up before I move into anything new. I talked about the idea, like I said, if anybody thinks the people that are writing D&D are really trying to shit in anybody, obviously you're a madman, because they're all some of the nicest people that I've ever heard talk on the internet. But the point I didn't get to make was, when it comes to cultures, and you guys can chime in on this, what I don't understand is every culture that makes it into those games, whether you got the ninjas, like the first figures there, whether you're stealing off of any real world culture, Vikings, Europeans, Mesoamerican, Asian cultures, like, we put those things in there because they're awesome. Like, I don't put samurai in my game because I think they're stupid. I fucking think that they're awesome. I loved kung fu movies and ninja movies when I was a kid. I love that shit. So along the same lines, I understand, obviously, that some people are going to be shitbags. That's just the way the world works. So I get it. But in general, I think the vast majority of the gaming community puts shit in there that we love. If you have anime-style stuff, it's because you love it. I put that stuff in there because I love it. So I didn't say that shit last time, but that was my concluding point about that culture nonsense.
Wait. And the shit I forgot, though, is if they're going to complain about stuff like that, how come they have a character named Skinnis Flute in the Ravenloft book? I mean, you can't double entendres and... All right.
Look, man, if we don't got dick jokes, we ain't got nothing.
So,
What are your thoughts?
I am Native American, okay? Rick is my English name, right? So it's one of those, like, for me, whenever I see a representation that is, like, whenever I've had Native people represented in a D&D campaign that I was a part of, everyone that's ever done that has always done it with respect and honor, because, again, they're looking at it in the standpoint of, look, I want to respect this, and part of me feels a connection. One of the most beautiful things about playing D&D, actually playing any role-playing game, is the fact that you feel a connection with your character. And if the DM does his job, right, you feel a connection to the entire world, and you and the DM are having that moment of, like, understanding each other, right? And it's that shared human experience. Now, yes, there's things that sometimes there's an amalgamation that happens where someone may not completely understand the culture, this, that, and the other. But at the same time, the fact that when we're living in such a polarized world, the fact that someone is reaching out and trying to connect with me on that level, that's what I respect, dude. Like, that's love, like that's
100%. And one of my thoughts, and I bring up like sports analogy kind of stuff occasionally, because I dabble in all these worlds. But one of the things that I brought up when the shift around quarterbacks was going on, and different play styles through college and into pro football, people were constantly saying how the quarterbacks are all tall white guys, right? Coaches are all white dudes, and I'm like, for now, yeah, because it wasn't a thing when football started, but as these generations of players and people move up, move on, grow, they're going to be represented, but they haven't had that starting point, which is why in fantasy games, it grew out of a bunch of chunky 47-year-old balding white dudes playing war games. Right. Yeah, drinking around me is a bad idea.
I sprayed all over my mic.
Yeah. No, but that's what it came from. Gary Gygax is your typical fat white nerd dude, right? They're going to build things into the game that they connect with, that they love, that they're into, and that they understand. And if they're the ones creating the groundwork, that's what you're going to see. Like Tolkien's another example of this. We talked about this as part of the discussion. Like, he's from England. It's like the second whitest place on the planet, and he survived World War I. So as he's writing the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings and everything, he's pulling in things that he's familiar with. And, people that look at the orcs from Tolkien and go, well, they're obviously racist. No, they're Germans. The guy spent how many years in World War I getting shot at by this horrible invading army that had wrecked 100 years roughly of functional relations in Europe. That's what he had to draw from.
No, that's true.
You know?
It's true. Now I gotta ask these guys another. Go ahead,
Oh,
Rick.
yeah, sorry. If you and honestly, if you see the orcs and the Urkai,
Yep.
like specifically, they're the Wundermensch. They're the
Yeah.
Supermen,
Exactly.
right? And so it's if you don't see, you have to kind of know the source to
Right.
understand the reference. That yeah, and it's the intensity of the orcs and their pursuit that what was his point.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's another great point about the context of it, which I'll ask you a question, and then we will move on to our visit to the doctor's office. But the context is important. But as I was saying, the more people get into it, the bigger the gamer base, the more people are involved, the more different stories you're going to get. And things will evolve and change, and we're going to get all that kind of stuff, and that's where we're going. It sucks that we're not, you weren't there for moment one, but that's just the way the world works. But when it comes to representation stuff, one of the points I brought up, and I'll ask your opinion: are you familiar with the movie Bright? And are you familiar the movie Bright?
Bright? I am not familiar
Okay.
with the.
Are you familiar with the Shadowrun RPG?
A little bit, yes.
Okay. So one of the points that we brought up, talking about this last week, Bright was an awesome movie. I don't know how they didn't get sued by the people that own Shadowrun, because it's 1,000% that setting, magic and metahumans and whatnot, like 1,000%. But in that setting, the orcs are essentially Latinos, right? That's the culture they represent in the movie. And my point was, like, it's 1,000% a stereotypical representation of Latino culture as the orcs. But it's done for a reason, to build the world and build the story. That's why it's done. And one of the main characters is an orc who's a cop trying to break out of that thing. It's a very relatable tale, but a lot of people that you talk to will be like, they were so racist. All of the orcs were Latino people. Yes, that's the point of it. They were trying to make a point in that material. The movie makers weren't doing that to take a stab at the Latino community. That's the story they were telling.
I think the other problem we keep finding is, if there's no conflict, there's no story. Like, conflict breeds stories. So that's what most of our stories are built out of: some turmoil or conflict,
Yeah.
man versus nature. So that's where it comes from. I got to ask all three of these guys from Splintered Reality before we go to the doctor's office, Geek News, and you too, Grom, there. Warcraft. How many of you are going to be like playing Warcraft on the 28th and you have nothing else to do? Like, you've already like scheduled your time to sit back and play the new Warcraft. How many? I mean, you guys are geeks, so I'm just got to check.
I mean, no. I used to play it.
Okay.
Yeah, I am a reformed Momo nerd. I no longer engage in that.
All right, so you're not. Nobody is going to dive in on the 28th.
Lost.
It's more of the fact that, like, I had to seek therapy for like my insomnia once.
Okay.
Like,
You had arcade dreams. We used to talk about those. Yes, the arcade dreams. They're very bad.
Oh God!
Oh,
Well, you
man.
say arcade, and probably like 80% of the people that might listen to this have no idea what we're talking about.
oh, dude. So, like, if you want to know what kind of nerds we are, like, I'm gonna move the camera.
Okay.
You see that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, is that? Wait, hang on. I can't make.
Guardians
What console is?
Galaxy.
Is it Guardians? Okay.
Guardians. It looks like Nebula down there.
Now, is that like what do they call them? MAM cases? The multiple ones, or is it a set game?
That is full emulated everything.
That's
So,
amazing.
We've got everything from Data East, everything from Capcom.
Oh,
everything
nice.
From the Versus series, like 20 different SNK varieties. Like,
Very nice.
I've got all
So
of the
wait,
metal
so
slugs.
SNK Samurai Showdown, the originals?
Oh yeah. You want?
All right.
Hey, if you guys are ever in town, like, you gotta
Oh,
swing by. We're in Raleigh, North
Well,
Carolina.
I got a pretty nasty Charlotte, if I remember from high school.
Yeah, do it, man.
Yeah.
Bring it. Rings.
Well, really, I'll tell you right now. So there was a time span when Tekken was my religion. I grew up playing Street Fighter, but I got a sick ass Batman and Green Lantern for Injustice 2. So if you guys want to throw down, I'm down.
I dig it. So I gotta know who was who was your front guy for Tekken?
Oh well, okay. So when I wasn't when I okay, so
He's next. He's next.
so here's the thing. I'm a hyper competitive gamer. So when I was trying to smash my friend to establish dominance, it's Paul Phoenix, and then we run Lei Wulong in the background. If I'm trying to showboat though, it's Huang, Lei Wulong, and a little bit of Lee you get in there. But but dude, Jackie Chan's my man, so that is my favorite guy from the series.
Which Tekken are you talking about?
So I didn't play Tekken 1 much, as I called it sleeping, because you got knocked down, you're laying on the ground for 47 seconds. Tekken 2 got me hooked, and the amount of times I was going to bust the arcade cabinet when I got fucking chained through by King is immense. But when we got to 3, Tekken Tag, and then all the way up to 6, that's that window of time. I can't really get down. I don't like the changes they made with Tekken 7. I don't like the pre-baked combo system that they have. I'm all about the poo dip kicks and juggles on my own. I want to earn that shit. I don't want to hit 4 buttons and just fucking whack somebody. So I kind of fell off with it. Got more into the Injustice and that kind of series, but up through 6.
That was a good jump off there. All right.
Oh, I love. I can talk about video games.
We got the nerd trend there.
The whole juggling thing, like that's one of the reasons why I loved I literally stopped my Capcom collection after Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Okay.
Just because of the juggling mechanics. Like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 gets it right. It makes it to where it's not just a gimme. I love it. And that's where I draw the line. After that, it's just way too. It's too. Oh, look, Johnny, you got all those combos! Yay!
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. That's like it's and a lot of that shit there was for Flash too. But you're right though. When in
end, right, like the final kicks and
Well, so if you're not a fight game person, so the Marvel Capcom 2 had the progression system, and then you had to know what moves had the low enough frame rate and recovery so you could work them in there to reset the combo, and then the characters get heavier the longer you go, so eventually you can't keep juggling them. That's an Injustice thing. They had it in Capcom. When they went to Capcom 3, it was like you did 3 hits, that was all your damage, and then you just rolled your fucking face in the keyboard on the buttons, and you kept juggling them for no damage. But it looked cool as shit. Then you tag your teammates in. It looks awesome. It doesn't do anything. I love that shit. I can talk about that a ton. Unfortunately, I'm old, so I'm getting a little slow in the brain. Not quite the twitchy reflexes I used to have, but I understand rule number 1 is you got to have total toe control. TTC, the most important thing in a fighting game. And with that, speaking of broken toes, let's go over to our visit to the doctor's office. What do you got for us, buddy? Warm it up.
Broken toes. That was such a good lead-in. All right, so tonight, magical Q&A, and our topic is music. We're going to talk about musical influences when we come back. We got a band. We got Splintered Reality here with us, talking about music. And I wanted to bring out, and Merwin or Rick or Ali Kevin, esophageal frequencies. Have you ever heard of this?
Frequencies.
Have you ever
He's leaning in.
Are we discussing the brown note? Is that what you're going for?
Esophageal frequencies. Okay.
That's not.
So you guys know like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right?
Right.
Okay. So do you know where they were invented?
No.
All right.
Enlighten me, good doctor.
All right. Good. They were invented by an 11th century monk, okay, named Desario, okay? And he worked music, and if you go all the way back to like Gregorian chant, right, that okay, so they really had, instead of do, they had ut first, ut, and then they had re, mi, fa, so, and la. Now meanwhile, right, you got the Catholics, in the Mediterranean area figuring this shit out. Meanwhile, over in India and in China, they're already doing the om and the boom and the boom and the boom. And they got the bowls, everything, they're doing all that. Well, we find to discover is that esophageal frequencies work at certain hertz levels, right? And they actually affect human beings. They can be used for healing. Um, so when they say music has power, it actually does really have power. Okay, so
Oh
that
yeah.
396 hertz is liberating guilt and fear. And if you go on the internet and look up like happiness frequencies, man, these things got like 30,000 hits. They got like 20,000 followers. And the other thing I've noticed, I'll give you guys a hint. The other thing they're doing is bands are starting to put these in the backgrounds of their music, right? So you got 417 that's undoing situations and facility changing. 528 is transforming miracles, and they say can even repair DNA. You're going to ask me something? Go ahead.
Are you talking about like the binaural beats? Where
Yes, yes.
they play
Well,
one tone in one ear and then they play another tone in the
well,
other
when
ear.
when you talk about binaural beats, you're talking about different tones in different ears, yes, but there are also different ways to execute those tones. You can use bells, you can use the steel drums. Some people use the glass tubes. There's all kinds of ways to do it, and then there's also electronic delivery devices now that people are actually putting sound waves directly into their bodies to kill things like parasites, and co-infections from limes and things like that. So it's really really intense stuff. Let me finish my last three. You got your five at 639, which is for connecting and relationships. You got your soul at 741, which is awakening intuition. And then 851, you got your returning to spiritual order. Now, when you see a lot of these like chakra, they're going to go through all the different chakras. Well, basically, they're just going through the different hertz levels, right? Um,
Right.
and you just sort of concentrate, and then so they change your brain frequencies. And then, of course, the greatest man of course, Nicholas Tesla. If you only knew the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, then you would hold the key to the universe.
Man.
So that's my little
So
music thing. Go ahead, Rick. What do
my
you?
brain just like of certain songs, of course, you're like, why does this, why do I resonate, you literally resonate with it, right?
Correct, correct,
Because
absolutely.
it's the wavelengths themselves are affecting you in a specific way. There's reasons why you can listen to a song even though it may have the world's most depressing lyrics. It's sung or presented in a way that you're like, yeah, I love that beat. I love that beat. No,
Exactly.
they're talking about killing everyone in the world, right?
That's
Oh, but I love that beat. That's specifically Pumped Up Kicks by
Well,
Foster the People.
I was gonna.
Um,
Oh, go ahead.
like it's one of the like, but the beat behind it, like not only do you have specific rhythmic patterns, but the way that they present eat, like there's the sub which hits. Like, why do you think 808 drums are so popular? Because that that wavelength makes you feel something.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And in a world where we're searching to just feel, man.
Well,
Like,
and now remember too, this all got lost during the time of Christ. It all got hidden, um, and it goes on to talk about King David trying to hide it from the people because music was accelerating the public, and it's just immense when you start looking how much music has influenced us.
Well, I have a
so
question with all you guys are saying because I'm confused. Uh, when I
Go
listen
ahead.
to when I listen to metal, which I'm a huge fan of, but not so much as my buddy Jamie. Like I get fired up, like I wanna get in the pit, and I remember doing all that shit. I got some funny stories. I'll tell you guys about that. But my friend Jamie would turn on fucking Slayer to go to sleep. Explain
Hmm.
that shit.
No, the same thing. The same thing like we're
it,
just talking about.
it's
If the right frequency is hitting you, it doesn't matter what sound is coming at you. That frequency is what turns you on and off, you
yeah.
know? Now, I just want to make one more connection because I've been blowing minds. The other connection with esophageal frequencies goes into Pythagorean's theorem and triangles, right? And then when you get into Pythagorean's theorem and triangles, you get into the Great Pyramids, which I'm still a firm believer that the pyramids were actually sounding devices and they were used to send out esophageal frequencies. That's my personal belief.
That's a dope theory. That is a dope theory.
I'm a big fan of that one. I like that they're power conductors. I've heard that one before, like giant.
Did you hear about their base? Because the square root of their base is actually the same measurement as the speed of light.
Well, and then there's another one with what the hell is it? I'm going to screw this up. I just heard it yesterday though. That there's some connection to the size of the pyramids, breaks down into either 42 or 84,000 something, and then that breaks down into the number of seconds in a day, or there's there's a crazy connection like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
there's another connection like that too. That's why, and then it goes all the way to the speed of light, back to the speed of light, and this all connects to these rhythmical patterns and these number patterns that all go together. So that's the visit to the doctor's office today as we talk about musical influences for Dungeons and Dragons.
100%. Yeah, actually, so I was going to say, as we transition into the main topic for the first half of the show, really quick, thanks everybody who's listening to us wherever you are. Please give us a like, share, subscribe. Check out the band on their website and socials. Check us out. And again, we always need to buy stuff, so please give us money. Thank you very much. I was born to read ad copy. That's what it is. So with music, no, I was gonna say, I had my first run-in with nerd music years ago, and I can never remember the name of the band. They're on YouTube, but I was listening to a metal song. Somebody's like, "Hey, check this out! It's pretty awesome," and they start talking about the flight of dragons over Solamnia. And the rise of the master of the past, present, and future, and I'm like, those are Dragonlance lyrics. What the hell? And I had to go research that, and the band's whole album was all inspired by the Dragonlance saga. And I'm like, no shit, people do that. That's awesome. You guys, you're into this, so why make music that involves the nerds? Clearly, you guys got talent. You can make whatever you want, but you choose to weave the nerd in there. So tell me what the inspiration for that is.
So lyrically, it's you always lean into what you know, right?
Right.
Like
true, and you should.
I am a firm believer that Barry White was one hell of a lover because he sang about what he knew, right? Like. What do I know, man? I know Tolkien. I know Marvel Comics. I know H.R. Giger. I know I know weirdo shit that most people would look at and go, "Oh, well, thanks for that conversation. I love it." For me, I've always viewed it as like this is my starting off point, right? Like I take a fandom to work in as my starting off point, my jumping off, and then I work in, okay, well, how do I make it about something without making it about something, right? So we have a new song that's going to be released. Hella.
I mean, we're gonna probably play it at the show.
We're definitely going to be playing it at the show, which shameless plug real fast. If you're in the area, December 11th, we're going to be playing a brand new tune called Hela, which is Norse mythology / Marvel Comics based. On its surface, it's about Hela standing before Odin right before she decides to kill him.
It has blast beats.
It's fun.
Well, I noticed that I was listening to Xenomorph. You guys, the song Xenomorph, right?
Yeah.
And I'm listening to Xenomorph, and I'm like, it's a song about xenomorphs. But when I'm listening to it, It's not about xenomorphs. Man.
It's not Xenobot, but
Not xenomorphs. That chick, man. It's about that chick. That chick, she's got like acid blood. Like, fuck, the double meaning is awesome. I loved it. It's great, man.
so it's so that
I know
whole
what you
thing,
mean when you say there's like you're putting a double meaning in there, right?
everything you talk about, the uh, DMs putting in double entendres all the time into the story weave, like that's we're DMs, that we're telling you a story, we're taking you on a journey. If all I've got is 4 minutes of your time, I'm going to take you to a journey. We're going to do a dungeon crawl real fast, and we're going to work through this. But all dungeon crawls are that moment of like touching base with something beyond yourself. So, um, Son of Warcaller. On the surface, it's about World of Warcraft. It's about Warcaller bending down to speak to his son before his final battle, right? In all actuality, it's about me coming to grips with my father's death. That's it. Like
Well, let me.
it's like, oh, nerdy, awesome, powerful. Wait a minute, he's talking. This is personal now, and
Oh,
like
I'm
that.
with.
Yeah,
No, I'm with you 1,000%. Very similar thing. So, one of my earliest and most well-known NPCs um, is you know, kind of a version of my father, and that character's shown up in writing and my setting for the longest time. And my father passed away 4 years ago, and it was rough on me. And a couple years after, I started up a new campaign with new people, and I had sat down and I was writing up part of a settlement that was dwarves, and I got real deep into the lore of how they handle the passing and everything, and it was deep stuff. And I'm like, and I had it all ready, and I got to it in the game, and I'm like, can't I couldn't do it yet, but there's a lot of there's a lot of feels in that kind of stuff. Now, like I said, I'm not a songwriter, but I am a storyteller, and I know it's going to come out someday. But just working through it in my mind was a great help. Just being able to kind of think about all of those things through that medium was good for me. I imagine music is just as cathartic for you guys.
I mean, yeah, that's so. Not
I
only
I saw the deepness in the other one last week. I was talking about the "Am I Pretty" that you guys did.
oh, so do
Dude,
you know
That's
the
another. That's
That's
intense.
oh do you know the story?
I
Have
don't
you
know
heard
this.
the
That's why I
story?
want to hear the story because like
Okay, so we all know that "Am I Pretty Now" is like it's an exact quote from Silence of the Lambs,
yeah,
right.
right? He's Buffalo Bill is staring at himself in the mirror.
yeah.
He's got himself tucked.
Oh
You
yeah,
fuck me,
dude,
I
I fuck
fuck
me,
me. Am I
dude.
pretty now?
I
Am
love
I
that.
pretty now?
I fuck me,
Like
I fuck me hard.
so. Um, the song itself came out by kind of happenstance. So we were in the middle of rehearsals, and at that point, I was still working with the DJ, doing scratches over top, like more of a new metal feel, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so he used to get on the guitarist's nerves as much as he could, and so he took a thing of lipstick out of his pocket and started doing the "Am I pretty man? Am I pretty?"
Oh my
Like
god.
right up in his face. And I had just received a phone call and I checked my messages, and it was my cousin, and she was like, "Hey, this is what's going on with my family. If you see these posts, I'm okay. Life is good." She decided that she was going to come out to her family, and her family rejected her.
Okay.
And so, for me, like, that was my favorite cousin, right? No offense, Sammy thinks he's my favorite cousin. He's not. This is my favorite because you know, I don't want to. They're out right now, but you know, it's not about that, right? So I don't know how far their outdom is. So we're just leaving it at that.
Fair
Um,
enough.
so it's one of those like um, I wanted. I was so angry at their response, and so I internalized those emotions. And while he's doing this, I was just like, "Oh my God, say that again, and say it again and again." And I just grabbed a piece of paper and I just big red marker, like not even like holding it like a pen, just scribbled down the words. And I was like, "That riff that you were working on, let's run it back, and I'm going to scream this until I get it right." And it became an anthem, and
And then that became the video too, because he's doing that in the video, right?
that's our friend
Intense.
Lethia Dose. Lethia's amazing. She's a drag queen out of Raleigh, and
Yeah,
she
yeah.
is
The
fantastic. If you
performance
have
is
a chance to
so
catch one of her
intense.
shows, my God, you will never be the same.
Yeah, I was
So
intense.
fabulous.
That was really really intense. The whole thing, I was really impressed because I really didn't know you guys before this, and we watched your video last week, and I've been watching videos and stuff. Now my other favorite, because I love instrumentals, is the, I'm gonna say it wrong because I always say his name wrong. Can Cthulhu.
Can do Cthulhu.
I love that, man. Where did
So
that come from? Because that's very different than your other music.
okay, so there's two versions of the can.
Oh, all
There's
right.
so the original version of the can came from um, my my friend Jinx was like, "Hey, we need a we need a theme song for this rodeo that's coming up." So it was designed for a burlesque troupe, and
Okay, okay.
so if you can imagine like a heavy metal version of the can being used for a burlesque show.
Right, right. No, I totally get the like sci-fi drive-through.
Yeah,
Like that's the feeling I totally get from it. But now that you're explaining it, it makes total sense. It's great. Yeah, yeah. No, I love
yeah,
it.
and then we sludged it out for the Necronomicon album,
Okay,
and
okay.
so it's a lot more like just a lot more gritty, and
So I have to
almost
find the grittier version. I must
I
have listened to the more uh, drive-through version.
yeah.
Drive-through version.
You listen to the nice one. Yeah, it always amazes me the influence that is and the connections between different things. Like the you're talking about the Am I Pretty? One of the funniest things I've ever saw. There was a show called Scare Tactics,
Yes.
and they did that to a kid. A guy got his nephew to come out and to work as a plumber for a day, and they pull back the shower curtain and there's a fucking bathtub full of body parts and gore, and he freaks out and he goes out, right, and his uncle's like, his uncle's nowhere to be found, and he's fucking freaking out, and he walks into the he has to go through, I think, he has to go into the bedroom, and the dude that hired him is wearing a wig and a dress, and it's the fucking tallest, crazy looking dude, and he just turns around and he goes, "Do you think I'm pretty?" "Yeah, man, I think you're fucking beautiful." And he's like falling over the bed and shit. I love that. A little callback though. So, a lot of people might think that with the resurgence of the nerddom, right, that this kind of stuff, these crossovers are new or recent or whatever. But do you know one of the earliest crossovers in music is actually Led Zeppelin with Tolkien?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. There's a line in there. I didn't realize it when I was younger, but I think it's
Oh,
Misty. It's either Misty Mountain Hop or I can't remember the other name of
yeah.
the other one. But he says, he
Oh,
goes, in the deepest depths of Mordor, there was a girl so fair.
I met a girl so fair.
Fair. And then Gollum and the
That's
evil
exactly.
ones. Yep.
slipped away with
Her.
her.
Yeah, exactly. I can't sing a lick, so I won't even try. But dude, I love that shit, and I'm like that. It goes back that deep. It's nice to know that there are those kind of impacts.
So Tichi and All Might came to me with this beautiful song that was it was already pretty much written, like they pulled it from the ether and welded it together into like its own monstrosity. And like the first thing that came to mind as lyrically, it's coming out soon. Soon being in quotation marks because
Yeah.
you know in the music industry,
Soon is relative.
Soon is relative, called Precious, which is
Precious.
which is
nice.
immediately you get the reference.
Yeah, it's like the game. It's like the game.
But yeah, so it's the dying moments of Smeagol.
Like in the lava dying moments.
Like it is literally him jumping off to grab the ring and everything coming around him and being encompassed by the lava.
Nice.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome. That's a great
So, first of all, you guys, thanks for being here. You guys are fucking amazing. Music's great, and the conversation's going well. And I know we're getting close to the midpoint where the break is, so I want to turn this back to a couple of D&D, or at least fantasy game connections, if I may. So let me ask you guys, when it comes to music in gaming, what do you think and how do you try to work it in? For me, I just started when I had to start running games online. Before that, I had never really messed around with music. Maybe I had thought about it. If you guys are old enough, there was a couple of products came out for D&D that had like a CD with creepy sounds or had some dialogue on it, right? But I never did anything with that. And then when we started playing online, I'm like, there's got to be something. I wanted to do it. So I started pulling battle music. And it's such a good enhancement. We just did our playtest for our upcoming Kickstarter. One of the modules, Titan's Peak, and we did it online, and I had battle music going. And for me, I think it feels weird now when I don't have that playing during the course of a game. Mm-hmm. But that's one of the ways that I've worked music into the game, personally. And then I have a druid subclass that they're connected to the Song of Life and Death. So their magic is they can hear. So here's the idea: every living thing, every energy in existence has a frequency, and the singers of the song can hear that. So the way they work magic is that they listen for the notes, and then they have the ability to modify them. So if you are injured, your song becomes discordant. So they find the discordant note, pluck that out, and fix it. Or if they wanted to harm somebody, they make the notes discordant. But those are the only two real things that I have going on with music, because it's a new thing for me to mix the two together. But like I said, I play a few instruments, not very well. When I was younger, mostly, and I haven't done it in a lot of years. You guys are actual musicians, though. So when you game, how much do you have that worked in?
Oh, okay.
Honestly, ever since I was a kid, I don't know what it was, but I've always associated with no matter what it was. It had, if it was a movie,
yeah,
a video game, any type of fight scene, boss fight, or anything like that, I've always associated with either music or some type of instrumental.
Okay.
So the idea of having music, even in D&D, is not too far fetched for me. It kind of molds pretty well.
I've got go-to pieces. So
Okay. Suggest my brother's band.
Oh, dude.
That's perfect for D&D.
I was gonna say if we could give a shout out to someone outside.
Absolutely. This is all about shout outs.
Family, directly. Wilder Run. If you want epic fucking metal to do a boss fight to, oh my god, what is the name of the one that's like a 7.5 minute? Holy shit, that was amazing. What was the name of that song? Tyranny.
Maybe it was past. They're all very long.
They're all.
So we don't forget, do me a favor. When we take our break here, shoot me the links in our chat. I'll make sure they go up in the chat in the live stream, so that people have access to it. And the producer says, I know the mic is scary for you instrument players that don't sing, but it's okay. You can get closer. It won't bite you. And I promise, at least for today, the singer's not going to beat you for getting near his microphone. So please.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I got you there. Okay.
Yeah. No, not a problem. I can hear you guys, but I got the headset on. So.
It's rather cardio.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no. So like I said, so I find the music thing to be to really be big, and a thing for me that I've noticed it the more I've gotten into it though is, and I would love to get to this point with my games that I run, and like you said, you have go-to pieces. I'm sure you guys are 1,000% positive. If I pulled up some tracks right now, I guarantee you, just from the music alone, you could tell me the scene and movie it was from. That's the kind of impact.
Yeah, that's so. My go-to Duel of Fates.
Yep.
Is like especially if you've got a younger audience. So like I've got my progeny that's doing the campaigns. We ran a campaign where they had to battle a technomancer wraith. Okay, so pretty much the fucking emperor.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and like it started to get really intense. I just reached over and pressed play, and it went. Da, da, da.
Dude, I am a 40 almost 5-year-old man, and I got goosebumps just that little bit because I remember, my first experience with that, and this is what I want to close on before we go to my story in the break, is the connections to music that you guys have that are some of your more powerful ones. And I'll give you one of mine. I remember being in college and walking, and I worked at a computer store. I walked by the one of the aisles, and one of our tech nerds had gotten a copy of the Phantom Menace trailer. And I walked by, and it's just, I look over, and it's got that shot where, where Darth Maul pulls the hood back, and then the trailer ends with Obi-Wan going, no! And everything explodes. I get goosebumps to this day. I've watched those a million times. So that's one of my big ones. The other one, and tell me if you guys recognize this. Here we are, born to be kings.
Princes of the universe.
Yes, I love Highlander is one of my favorites, man.
Greatest ever.
And then,
Freddie.
And then whenever I hear the William Wallace music, the bagpipes from Braveheart, when I went to see that in the theaters, me and my friend, when it gets to his speech, I swear to God, I wanted to charge the screen and fight the English myself. So go ahead, warm it up for me, guys. Give me, we'll go around. Doc, give me a couple of your musical moments like that. The sounds that link to something for you that's that powerful. What do you got?
The interesting thing, you guys are talking about instrumentals. And when I first started playing D&D back in the day, I was growing up. It was prog rock era. It was like Kansas had like Magnus Opus and those. I would just listen to that stuff over and over again while I was writing stuff for D&D, and those are still influences of mine. Original Black Sabbath. Going through all that stuff, and then I got to see heavy metal in the theaters.
That's awesome.
And the Blue Oyster Cult album, Fire of Unknown Origin, is just chock full of D&D lore because they wrote songs that didn't get used for heavy metal, so they're on that album. And then right after that album, they team up with Michael Moorcock. They do Black Blade as a song, and that's like the first geek metal I remember. So when you guys talk about you're a geek band. I had never heard anything like sort of cross into the rock geek. But man, when Blue Oyster Cult does that Black Blade, douche. But we're going into break, so I don't want to go off too much.
Dude, what about the is it Warren Zevon, the Werewolves of London, or the headless Thompson Gunner?
Yeah.
I love that shit. All right, give it to me, band. You guys are gonna get the closing couple of minutes before we head to our break. What music does it for you? What puts you in that moment? What are the big connections you got? Warm it up for me.
Well, I just wanted to do another thing. My brother helped with a project. It was the soundtrack for Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
No shit, really?
Yeah, he and his.
That's awesome.
They helped. I think her name's Sarah. do that. And Wayne did the throat singing, and John, my brother, did the drums, and it like was nominated for something, the Grammy.
Oh, that's
Nothing
excellent.
much, just Grammy.
Yeah, no, it's just casually mention that you have award nominated buddies. It's cool. That's fine. I can do. Look, man, I can do the same thing, man. The drummer that played when I was trying to be a musician when I was a teenager, his brother is actually a professional musician, phenomenal. He's actually the lead singer for the U.S. Army Field Band, so I know people too. But that is awesome. I do that. That soundtrack is phenomenal. So very cool. So what do you got for a personal connection?
Personal connection to music, definitely I'd say video game music, from anywhere from like the old, like above screen, like Warcraft 2, the music from that is
What about
Doom? The music
Oh,
from
Doom.
Wait,
Doom was
what about the best one of all time, Castlevania Symphony of Night?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like all that.
All right, I see the bass player usually stuck behind the singer is waiting to say something. Slide up, buddy. Get close to the mic. Don't be scared. We won't bite too much.
no fear.
My connection would be I'm a '90s kid, so mine was pretty much video games. I would say Dragon Ball, that era, but more.
He's like he's lost in thought.
Not really. My connection.
And what's before Dragon Ball Z?
What's that Dragon Ball?
As far as like, I would say Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, I would confidently say Dragon Ball Z.
That intro. That
Because I was banging harder to the intro to Dragon Ball Z than I was the Back in Black or something.
All right. Hey, no, look, man. Like I said, it's what moves you, man. Like I said, I'm at the age now where like all my favorite shit's on the fucking like easy listening channel. It's classic rock. It's old. Like you said, I grew up. I was a metalhead growing. I went from my father was a blues guitarist and played in a bunch of bands and did all that kind of 70s 80s rock music, right? So that's my musical background. But I remember when I hit high school and Nirvana came out. So I went from Guns N' Roses to Metallica. Nirvana came out. That is top of my list. It's one of those things, and every time I know every one of the songs. I know how to play a bunch of them. And every time they come on, man, it's instant for me. So, dude, if DBZ does that for you, I get it, man. I totally get it. All right, Rick, close us out, man. What's your big connection?
Okay, quick story time. Here we go.
Hit me up.
So after my parents left the church, my dad he was a prog organist during the 70s, and he was trying to atone for his sins. That's how everything kind of worked out, right?
Wow.
So one day, like he worked for the FAA, he woke me up at 4 a.m, and I'm just like, yeah, what the fuck, dude? Like, what's going on? He drags me downstairs, and he had recorded Marilyn Manson's "The Beautiful People."
Okay.
He looked at me and like the most serious look that I've ever had, and he was a military man. Like serious looks were his like MO. He gave me the most serious look in the world. He said, "Son, I don't care what kind of music you make, but if you make a music video, you have to have it match the imagery like this." And I'm just like, what? He was like, it doesn't matter. You need to take, this is your lesson. This is what you should do. Make videos like this.
And this is the same guy that wouldn't let you play comics and
the
D&D
day I remember the day we left the church, because I got up early to go to church. Everything was copacetic. Everything was great. I go into Dad's room. Dad's sitting there with his 1970s big giant headphones on, and it's still in his underwear. I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on? And I was like, Dad, we're going to be late for church. He was like, we're not going. And I'm like, okay. He was like, you need to be educated. And goes over to his closet and pulls down a big giant box. He's like, we're not leaving this room until we finish this box. Open it up. Black Sabbath.
Oh my god.
Like stacks of Black Sabbath, Kiss, and then right at the very bottom is fucking Abba Gold. Out of metal, rock,
Well, no,
metal.
Abba Gold was in that. Abba Gold was in that. It had a backwards message.
It did. You play it backwards, and
I did not know that. What's the message?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Shop at IKEA.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah,
Dude, that is awesome. Like I said, man, I love talking about this kind of stuff too, because it links to memories and things, and music is such a great way to do that. Like I remember my father, like I said, he's one of those guys that I always hear. He's like, he'd be like, it's like, I'm like, oh, I just discovered Stevie Ray Vaughan. It's awesome. His brother's way better than he is, or he's too commercialized, And he, I'd be like, oh, what about B.B. King? Oh, Johnny Winters is way better, shit like that, right? And then as I got older and I got more into the music that he was into, he starts to, at one point he goes, you always check the Beatles out. I'm like, you listen to the fucking Beatles? Like, that is not, he goes, oh yeah. He goes, yeah, all that stuff. I'm like, no way. I just, like I said, his widow passed away over the summer. So, I got a couple of cases of, music DVDs. So, concerts, band stuff. I haven't had a chance to go through it yet, but he had a ton of that shit. I mean, he's got stuff on VHS tape. He's got stuff on DVD. I also picked up two things. I have his guitar, but I got his mother's guitar, which I didn't know was still around, is a 1955 Gibson hardbody. Serial number stamped in the headstock. And you guys might appreciate this. I got a pair of 1973 La Scala black speakers. Still work. That old man loved them goddamn things, and he would call me, like I get the weird phone calls at different hours. He would call me up and to complain about his wife, who's gone now, God bless her soul. He called me up, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's fucking 3 a.m, I'm sleeping. What do you think I'm doing? You need to get up right now and get over here and grab these speakers, because I'm moving out. This bitch is crazy. And I'm like, dude, I'm not coming over and getting them fucking speakers at 3 a.m. No, I gotta get them out of here. I can't deal with this. She's gotta go. And I'm not leaving the speakers behind. I'm like, I just moved these motherfuckers, by the way. These things, like, I'm an old fat dude, as you can tell by the camera. These fucking things weigh more than I do. And I'm like, dude, you know what I'm gonna do, man? Fuck it. I said it for years ago. When she goes, I'm gonna take his ashes, her body, put them shits in the fucking speakers, push them out in the lake, hit them with a flaming arrow like a Viking funeral, and be fucking done with it. And yet, right now, they're holding up miniature D&D terrain in my garage. So,
and when you do it, make sure that you're playing Duel of Fate.
Exactly. Well, no, I think he was a Sabbath fan, so I think it's got to be War Pigs if I do it. I'm doing it right. Yeah, you like that one?
But wait, you said the beautiful people. You got to go to break. I know we got to go to break, but I always wrote a spoof song of that. It's not the beautiful people. It's the Fisher Price people. The Fisher Price people. They have a church and it has a steeple. The Fisher Price people. Sorry, I had to do that.
No, you're good. So, hey, a couple things before I go into story time when we hit our break. First of all, during our break, we're going to have a music video from the band Splintered Reality. Also, one of our co-writers and friends, Barry the Movie Demon, has a cooking show, because why wouldn't a demon have a cooking show? And he's going to be bringing you a recipe on how to make, is it the devil's pickle? Is that what it is? Am I getting it wrong? I fucked it up probably, right?
Well, it's hot in hell, so.
Is that what it is? I probably screwed that up. I apologize, Barry. It's in my notes somewhere, and I didn't scroll back to find it. I apologize. But we got a video from Barry the Movie Demon. We got a music video for the band, and I'm going to give you a little story right now. So we were talking last week, and I brought up the idea of a disappointing moment in gaming. I've had only a few campaigns make it long-term, right? Both of the ones that did had a fucking bummer moment at the very end. So I told the story last week. We ended my campaign. My buddies came back, and we were playing some games afterwards, high-level stuff. And they absolutely screwed me out of this big dragon fight. because they're cheaty bastards, right? That was last week's story. This week, I'm going to tell you how the campaign that they were in ended. We were teenagers. We played 3-4 times a week, hours a day. Great memories, although I didn't write anything down, so I only have a handful of shit I actually know we did for sure. Maybe it wasn't as cool as I thought it was. But I went through months with these guys, suffering, because under the old rules, 2nd edition, there were some broken-ass things. I'm going to tell you what they were. So, invisibility, you're familiar with the spell, I take it.
Oh, yes, oh, yes.
In 2nd edition D&D, it had a duration of 8 hours. So I had to deal with an entire goddamn campaign where the fucking wizard was invisible every moment of the game. Wake up, invisible. Go to bed, invisible. And he's one of those people. It's a video gamer thing too, where like he would never cast a spell because he might need it. Can't drink the potion. I might have to use it later. I can't use the charges on the wand of lightning. I might need it for something. Always waiting for the next big thing, right? So his Jamie, who was in the game from our playtest, his cleric had to suffer all the indignities and all the scars and wounds, while the other player's wizard was just invisible all the fucking time, right? One of the things, the campaign's bad guy was a wizard whose soul had been broken into different parts, scattered over time. And they dealt with all 3 versions, Zacharias, Nullius, and Nereus. Finally, the ultimate end of the campaign comes. They've tracked the wizard down. His soul has been reforged. He can now be killed. They know where he's at, not only physically in space, but also in time. I tell him, guys, you know where he's at. You're about to get to his lair. Have you prepared for the day? And this is 2nd edition, where you had to memorize your spells one at a time. There was an option. So if you memorized all fireballs, you only had fireballs. And they look at me and they go, "We're going to think about that. We're going to get this rest in right now, and then we're going to discuss it, and then we're going to storm the castle, right?" So they sit there. They go in the tank for a good 30-40 minutes, smiling the whole time. They kicked me out of my bedroom because they had a fucking plot and plan. I come back, big shit-eating grin on their face, like, "Yeah, we're ready to go." I'm like, "All right." Go through a couple rooms, get past the trap. They get to the main boss fight. I'm smiling. I'm waiting for my monologue. He goes into it. He casts his first spell of the encounter. And I'll tell you how it wrapped up when we get back from our break. So, thanks everybody. We got a music video coming up. We got recipes with Barry the Movie Demon. Splintered Reality, are you guys coming back with us after the break? I hope so.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the stuff, guys. Remember to like, share, subscribe, smash that share button. Send us money because we're poor. And hopefully this shit works when we go to intermission. Otherwise, I'm going to cry. But we'll be back in about 13 minutes.
Roll initiative.
Hello everybody, it's Barry the Movie Demon here, and tonight I'm doing another Midnight Snack video. That's right, we're doing Midnight Snacks. Oh wait. Oh yeah, I got a tail now. It grew in. It does its own thing sometimes, so... Stop it. Down. Anyway, we're doing Midnight Snacks, and tonight it's something a little different. We're not making candy, we're not making cake, cookies, anything like that. Although it's still really good. We're going to make homemade pickles. And this is something that not everyone does. A lot of people probably don't do this. Even though it's super, super simple. You can pickle practically any vegetable. Tonight we're going to do onions and cucumbers and a little bit of garlic. And you'll see why in the end. Why I chose to do garlic. It was not on the menu in the beginning. But you can pickle anything. You can pickle carrots. You can pickle cauliflower. You can pickle peppers. Anything that's hearty that'll stand up to some hot liquid for a few minutes and then consider it won't turn to mush. Anything that's got some fibery toughness to it. So let's get on with the video. Now this one, I did not have my apparatus that lets me hold the camera up above the stove and film, so it's going to be in clips, and then I'm going to jump in and interject and explain some things in between. But I'm going to show you parts of the process that I was able to do handheld. And then I want to talk about the process. We'll also put everything up on the screen so you can see whatever we're doing. You'll be able to see recipes. I'll put steps up there. If I screw anything up when I'm talking, I'll correct it on there. So let's go check out how to make some pickles. So we start with pickling cucumbers here. These are mini cucumbers. And a red onion. This is a really big red onion.
and a knife. That's all we need. We're going to chop up the red onion. And we're chopped. And then we're going to smash up some garlic and take the paper off. Then we're going to get some clean canning jars, mason jars, bell jars, whatever, and stuff them. One's got onions and a little bit of garlic. One's got chopped up cucumbers and a little bit of garlic. The other one has cucumber spears with no garlic. So, yeah, I have 3 jars there. I actually end up with 4. The reason I didn't put garlic in the spears is because we're doing a dill and garlic brine to pickle them, like a kosher dill type brine. And this is a base pickling liquid. It's going to be 2 cups of water, 2 cups of vinegar, about 2.5 tablespoons of salt, about a tablespoon of peppercorns, a tablespoon of coriander, and I added some dill and some garlic, about a tablespoon of each, maybe 2 tablespoons of garlic, chopped, finely chopped. So that's my base liquid. I didn't want to add garlic to the other one because I'm adding a different seasoning. You'll see it in the video, and it's because of where I live. It's Old Bay. Everyone uses Old Bay. They put it on ice cream here, believe it or not. But we're going to make some Old Bay pickles out of those spears. And the garlic that I'm going to have later, I've actually just peeled more garlic and put it in a little jar because I had leftover brine. We do some Old Bay pickled garlic. Okay, here we have the other ingredients. Got our Old Bay. About a tablespoon of dill. I couldn't find the fresh stuff, so I had to get the dry. The coriander and the peppercorns, 1 tablespoon of each. Mixed together. About a tablespoon or 2 of chopped garlic. And 2.5 tablespoons of salt. This is our water and vinegar mixtures, 2 cups of each. We're going to turn the heat on medium, medium-high, and then add the other ingredients in and just kind of let it come to a boil. But just to a boil, don't let it boil away. This is going to make your house smell up a little bit. You're going to smell garlic, you're going to smell vinegar, you're going to smell some dill. And that's when you know that it's probably ready. And here, it's come up about halfway to temperature. I added all the ingredients. I just wanted to show you. Some of them will float, and that's okay. I stirred it around. And I've got the other piece of equipment here, a funnel. I forgot to mention that earlier. You're going to have some way to get this liquid into these jars. Now, a canning funnel would be better because it's got a wider mouth. Those coriander and peppercorns will clog up your funnel. You'll need a skewer or something to knock them loose. Now, after this, I couldn't hold the camera and hold the pot with the liquid and hold the funnel. So I did that off screen. Sorry. I did the dill garlic, 2 of them off screen through the funnel. Now we're going to go back to pickling liquid that I'm going to modify with a little bit of other seasoning. Stop it. Here we're going to add some Old Bay to taste. I didn't measure this, and you don't need to either. You can put as much or as little as you want. You can also put in other things. You can put in sugar, put in hot sauce or chili peppers. Whatever you really want. Any kind of herb will probably be okay. Rosemary would be nice. This is Old Bay. Here we see the finished product, more or less. These had to sit in the refrigerator for a couple of days. I'm going to leave them on the counter for a few hours to cool down first. Because you put this stuff in hot. You want it as hot as you can stand to touch the glass afterwards to move them around. It's going to make it hot, so you want it in there as hot as possible, though. You can do it boiling if your funnel can handle it. So I've got the 2 that are garlic and dill, and then that little thing of Old Bay garlic there in the front, the really, really red one, and those spears are also Old Bay garlic dill. And that's it. You just screw your lids on tight and put them in the fridge. And that's it. Now, like I said, they've got to sit for a few days, maybe a week. One thing about the onions, though, the onions will actually get really sweet. When you soak onions in water, or cook onions, or just soak them in whatever vinegar and water in this case, it takes a lot of the bitterness away. You just are left with sweet and onion flavor. A lot of people don't like raw onion. I don't really love raw onion because it's bitter. And I like some bitter things, just not that. But this will take care of that. It makes it a lot sweeter. It picks up some of the flavor of everything in that pickling liquid. The coriander is something not a lot of people probably have on hand. And maybe you don't have peppercorns, maybe you don't grind pepper. But they're not hard to find. You can find them in the spice aisle of practically every supermarket. Just other things you could add would be, you could add cinnamon sticks if you wanted. I've had beets pickled in cinnamon, and they're surprisingly good. sugar. There are sweet pickles. Bread and butter pickles are sweet. You could do chilies. A sweet chili pickle would be nice. There's a lot of possibilities, and you can experiment. That base pickling liquid of 2 cups water, 2 cups vinegar, 2.5 tablespoons of salt, you can add anything you want to it, but the standard is peppercorns and coriander, I believe, for practically everything. They also make pickling spice that you can buy in a lot of supermarkets that's got a lot of peppercorn and coriander and stuff like that in it. Fresh herbs would be better, but I couldn't find any fresh dill. They just didn't have it. I mean, it's not like I didn't look, but I couldn't find it, so I just put in the dried stuff. The dried stuff will work, as long as it's pretty fresh. You don't want stuff that's been sitting in your cabinet for years, like some of my spices. I really need to get new ones. But experiment and let me know. Let me know what you find out. If you find a favorite recipe that you stumble upon, or there's a favorite spice you've got, like maybe you really, really want cumin and smoked paprika pickles. If you like smoky flavors, maybe dump a little liquid smoke in there. Barbecue pickles, I think it'd be okay. Give it a shot and let me know how it turns out. Anyway, until next time, this is Barry the Movie Demon saying, I'll see you at the movies. Thank you for watching.
Darkness is faster than you ever will be. I will embrace you. You will become me. The darkness is faster than you ever will be. I will embrace you, and you'll grow to love me. The void keeps calling. The darkness is faster than you ever will be. I will embrace you, and you will become me. The darkness is faster than you ever will be. I will embrace you, and you'll grow to second star to the right, straight up to morning, yeah. Second star to the right is where my dreams began. Second star to the right, is that forever? Until I dig your grave like Peter Pan. star to the right, straight on to morning. Second star to the right, my dreams began. Second star to the right, it's not forever. Till I dig your grave like Peter Pan.
We're gonna eat this as soon as we start. Really?
And welcome back, Internet. How are we all doing?
All right.
Doc, you hear me okay? Band, you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, life is great. Woohoo!
Wonderful. So, dude, that tune is banging. I like the. I was into it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
We
So-
we work hard on our craft.
No, it's good, man. It's good, and just I don't know. I'm an old school metalhead, so I never got away from that stuff. And like I said, from listening to the other videos and that, I'm super fired up. So. All right, we are back, Internet. Thank you for sticking around through the break, everybody. We appreciate it. Thanks for being here. And if you're listening at home or on a streaming platform, please feel free to like, share, subscribe. Find us on Patreon. Find us on all the socials. We are The Game, presented by Dungeon Studios. Our Kickstarter is coming out on Black Friday. 7 more adventures set in the world of Eneron. And we are back, myself, Grom, with Dr. Platorius, and our guests today, 3 of the members of Splintered Reality. Thank you guys for sticking around through the break. Glad to have you back. I'm going to finish my story, and then we're going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So think of a topic while I finish what's going on. So like I said, here I am, a young DM at the end of my first campaign. The big bad guy is there, and I know the entire time that he has been watching all of the party's moves. He's been studying them. He's a wizard. He's intelligent. He's ancient. He's ready to kick the shit out of them. So I'm ready. I got the invisibility taken care of, and the key thing is, I've had to deal with my invisible wizard fireballing the shit out of people for months. Barkeeper won't charge you too much for a drink, fireball the whole inn. You run across a single kobold, fireball the cave. Too many monsters, take off, nuke them from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. So the wizard is ready. They walk in. I do a bit of monologuing, probably not as good as I do now as an adult, but I gave it my fucking best. And then I end it by just going, he laughs as you see the flare of his fire shield around his form. He is ready for you. And at that point, my 2 players look at me and just fucking the biggest smiles ever. They go, oh, really? Did we beat him in initiative? I go, yeah, you did, but he's ready for you. Okay, I'm going to cast Cone of Cold at him. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, I had that spell forever. I go, you haven't cast that fucking spell in months. Ever. I don't think ever. It's Fireball, Wall of Flame, nothing. Never. Not a single goddamn cold spell ever. He goes, yeah, we know. But he doesn't know I have this. He doesn't know I have this. He goes, did you read Fire Shield? Because I figured he would have that against us. I go, yeah, I read it. It's protects him against fire damage. He goes, read what else it does. I'm like, what? I look in the book real quick. It reduces the damage dealt by fire spells by whatever percentage. It doubles the damage from cold spells. And this is back in 2nd edition D&D where my 15th level wizard had 37 hit points. And Cone of Cold, 4d10 doubled, 60 points of damage, fucking killed the wizard, the very first spell of the game. And they're just fucking laughing it up. And I'm like, I've been waiting for this fucking fight forever. I've been planning this. I was so fired up. All of this, and you guys fucking murdered the guy in one spell. And they're going, yeah, we've been waiting for that shit for months too. Fuck you guys. So that's what happens when you have clever but cheaty-faced players. They pull that kind of bullshit. So, all right, hey, we talked the first half about music and influences. I love all that shit. Like I said, I get goosebumps talking about some of those connections. So I want to open it up to you guys in the second half. I know we had a little bit of discussion right to start when we were talking about connections to gaming and the influences and having music in the game and everything. But before that, you said some things that I couldn't tolerate. You brought up Superman and Goku fighting, which is a conversation I couldn't care less about. But in fairness to you guys as guests, I want to open it up to you. We can talk about whatever you want for the second half. You got a topic for me, throw it out there, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we definitely have opinions on geeky things.
Before All Might decides that he's going to throw Fireball towards the towards the microphone, I wanted to. We talked about getting our fixes for our dice. It has come so full circle that we're now the guys that sell it out of trunks. So if you look very carefully, if you go to a Splintered Reality show, you can pick up your very own Splintered Reality dice.
Oh, that's awesome!
It has the SR logo as the 20. So
that is
that 20 hits
very cool.
You too can splinter reality. There you go.
I love that.
That is a great shameless plug, and that is an awesome idea.
You're
Hey,
welcome.
really quick, so I don't forget, because I want to make sure we can hook you guys up as much as possible. If you can get to your keyboard, throw those links in there for the stuff you had mentioned into our Discord chat, and then I'll drop them on the live stream so people can see them. Because I want to be able to, like I said, if we got shout outs and connections, things you guys doing, I'm more than happy to put that out there for you guys. So, what do you want to talk about? What in the world of gaming and nerdom do we want to discuss? Or do we just want to go right into the battles of why Superman is the worst character ever? What do you want to talk about?
You know what? Let's. So we can't. So I'm actually going to move this microphone over a little bit. Give that while I put some links down in a link in bio. We're going to go, Mr. Degas.
Wait. Yeah, get real close, man. Here's the thing. I want you to pretend that microphone is a dirty groupie backstage. Get real close. You can even use the tongue if you want to. I'm not shy.
Microphone is not a Superman issue, although I would like to know your ultimate stance on that.
Okay.
A lot of people don't really understand the reasons why I would say those who are interested in Dragon Ball Z are interested in it. Would you like to, is there anything you wanted to know as far as the reasoning behind its pursuit?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me give you some context for my question, right? So I get that some people get into fandoms and some people miss them. That's just a thing. I was never, like, there's stuff I'm not a fan of. That just because I missed it, you know. The Dragon Ball Z thing is one of those things where people are super into it, and it was never a big hit for me, right? But I actually had a player in my last long-running campaign that made a monk subclass that was essentially Goku, kind of busted and whatnot. He loved that shit, and I'm like, okay, like, you're not killing me, and I can never get a straight answer out of him for what the connection was, for like I said, for me, for my stuff, like the Star Wars thing. I saw that shit when I was a kid, and it just stuck with me forever. Just that imagery, all that stuff was amazing to me. So go ahead, man. Give it to me. What is the connection with Dragon Ball Z? What's the big to do?
With me, the connection was the Saiyan pride.
Okay.
It was what hit for me, and understanding. Because when I was a kid, I adored Goku. But when I got older, I started to understand Vegeta. So, when I started to look at Dragon Ball Z as a whole, I understood why kids love Goku, and I understood why adults love Vegeta. Now, when it came to me, as a kid, you always wanted to see the good guy win, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And that was as a kid, that was my fix. So whenever I wanted to see the good guy win, that was my opportunity to watch the good guy win, so to speak.
Okay.
And when I became an adult, I say after, not really after high school, sort of kind of between high school, not really during military time, but I say after military to now, pretty much the time of my life where I kind of grew physically and sort of kind of mentally. When I say that, I understood what I was capable of physically, because when I was in high school, I wasn't all that physically capable. But when I got out, I started working out, taking care of myself, eating right, and I kind of put the eyeball on the webcam. I'm sorry, I can't even. But I was, I started taking care of myself. I started working out, and taking care of myself and training, being a saying or whatever. I got addicted to train. I literally got addicted to going to the gym for like a year straight, and
Yeah.
at that point, I got into the best shape that I've ever physically been in. So, in that, when I became an adult and I would still love and I still love the anime, I went towards the understanding the pride of being strong, being the best at what you wanted to do in life, and just making that connection to the anime as far as I was concerned.
Okay.
I saw when I became a man. I saw when I was a kid. I saw myself in the Goku. When I was a man. I saw myself in the Goku. And for me, it carries to this day.
You went deep. I respect that. No, I get it, man. That's one of those things, because I remember when I was a kid, one of the ones that really got me was like Indiana Jones.
Oh.
And I would, and it was that idea, like, I had a helicopter parent, and I was never going to be a magic space wizard as much as I wanted to be,
Right.
but I could do science shit. I could have adventures, and watching those movies, and that's the kind of thing where you could realistically be that person someday. And that escapism of it, because there were no adventures for me. There was no, there was no hero moments. There was, I'm not allowed to go to my neighbor's house, because scary people might get me. Or my favorite, and I realized the connection between being funny and being traumatized, because, it's basically therapy. One of my favorite stories to tell people when they ask why I'm so fucked up is my mother came to me one day, my young, impressionable, blonde-haired, down to my ass 7-year-old self. I know it's hard to believe. Now I got no hair. And in between, I had a ridiculous little afro. I swear to God, I'll find a picture and show you sometime. But she calls, I'm not even shitting you. I swear to God, I had straight blonde hair down to my ass when I was a kid. It got cut the first time, and it turned into a weird little fro thing going on.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, like my old driver's license, I look like David Koresh from the Branch Davidians.
Did you have the glasses too?
Oh, dude! You know what? When I swear, I'm gonna grab my wallet. I swear, and I'll put the photo up so you guys can see it.
I want to see it.
All right, 100%. I swear, and I swear to God, I'm not bullshitting you guys. But no, so my mother called me in, for this tender heart to heart. Like we had one when I'm in the front seat of the car and she's sitting next to me, and we're at McDonald's and we get our sandwiches, and she looks over at me and she puts her hand in the back of my head, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. My mom's rubbing my head, and then bam, slams me face first off the fucking dashboard. And I'm like, what? She goes, I just wanted to make sure the seatbelt would save you. I guess it won't. And I'm like, but the car's not moving. But no, so she called me and she goes, Jason, I have a question for you. If Batman and Spider-Man pulled up in the Batmobile and wanted you to go with them, would you go? So I think we all know what a 7-year-old would say to that question, right?
Well, yeah, Mom.
I'm like, yes, of course. I couldn't get in the car fast enough. I got my ass beat. It was one of the only times my mother spanked me, and it was because I said I would go with Batman and Spider-Man. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's why I am where I am. But I totally get your thing with that, connecting to the characters and everything. And that makes a lot of sense. It really does. It really does.
The difference between a real Spider-Man and Batman versus the fake Spider-Man and Batman. If the fake Spider-Man and Batman came up to you, drove to you in a Batmobile, I think you would.
Dude, first off, what like
Also, but like, you know, real. I mean, you're getting in the truck, but
For-
like,
for real.
Right.
I mean,
So-
but still, that was like the question. That was an entrapment. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
like,
Oh, 100%. 100%.
like first off, and
If the real Batman and a real Spider-Man pulled up in the Batmobile, yeah, I'm getting in.
that's when you look at Mom and go, "Are they animated, Mom?" Because if there's a cartoon in the real world, I'm going with the cartoon. If it's a real dude, and he's just like,
if it's Johnny down the street and Louis up the block,
and they're dressed, no, Mom, I'm not. But if it's Adam West in the Scooby-Doo version of Batman, oh, Mom, I'm so sorry. I will see you later.
I mean, I guess as long as I get to touch the Batarang, I guess it doesn't matter, right? I mean,
I just want to throw one.
oh man, like okay, so okay, so
All right.
favorite. So we got into the topic of Batman all of a
Yep.
sudden, right?
my favorite, by the way.
Your favorite, excellent.
Yep.
So
Respectable.
Yeah,
Very
so-
respectable.
Yeah,
Obviously-
Batman's awesome.
Marvel guy, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But every Marvel guy will say, "I'm Marvel," except for Batman,
Fair enough.
because holy shit, the everything. Oh my
Well,
god!
Batman kind of transcends beyond just like even saying Marvel and DC. It's just
Mhm.
Batman. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't even put him in Detective Comics as one thing. It's just it's such a big entity.
Well, I will tell you, it comes down to this. So, are you familiar with College Humor and the Badman series
Yes,
with Pete
yes,
Holmes? The whole thing about Batman, it's broken down in the episode they have where Batman and Superman meet, right? And Superman's like, I think it's time that the Bat of Gotham and the Man of Steel join forces. And Batman laughs. He goes, "Why?" He goes, "You're literally bulletproof. What do you need me for? I'm some guy in a hot rubber suit." They go back and forth, and finally Superman goes, "Look, man, you're just really cool." He goes, "Oh, I get it. You think by hanging out with me, you won't look like such a dork anymore. I understand. I totally get it." It's true. But I'll tell you, so here's my problem with Superman.
Okay.
Is-
I'm ready for it.
Is this, and I have kind of the same problem. If I was going to have a problem with Goku, it'd be for basically the same kind of thing.
Okay.
Is
I think I'm
when the character has no real weaknesses, right? It's hard to relate to, and all of the drama, right, has to come from the danger and threat to other people. Now I know Goku with Frieza, or is that I fuck the names up.
You're doing good.
Frieza,
You're doing good.
right?
Rolling.
Like, so I know the Saiyans get their ass kicked. They have villains that are more powerful. The cat guy beat the shit out of him once or twice or a million times. So it's not exactly the same thing. But but what kills me about it is the two things. One, the drama has always got to come from somebody else being under threat, and there always has to be some sort of MacGuffin-y thing that makes them vulnerable if they're going to threaten them, and that kind of stretches it a little bit. And before you say it, I get it. Batman essentially has superpowers because he survives all the shit he shouldn't. It's a comic book. I get it.
But that's not even my. So like, I can't even be mad at that. I can't argue that like, oh no, because you've got to keep a series going. Come on, man.
Right. Oh, of
Like,
course.
Yeah, you don't kill the golden goose, man.
No, of course
But,
not.
like, what sets Batman apart in all actuality is the fact that it goes back to being able to see yourself within the character. I'm not a billionaire, right? Not yet. But if you, this is the shameless plug, wait for it. But if you guys, while you're listening, could hop over to the Blue Ridge Rock Festival, tell them that you want to see Splintered Reality play, we could be one step closer to that billionaire status. So make sure that you're putting our name in the pot. Thank you very much.
So shameless.
So
Love it.
shameless.
But it's because the reason that we love Batman is because can we can identify with the guy that's had enough, and it's to the point where like your anger splits you
Mhm.
into two separate people, or your grief splits you into two separate people. You know, you keep that face on, you keep that Bruce Wayne on, and you smile and you try to conduct business as usual. But at the end of the day, you want to go out and bash someone's face in so that someone knows and understands how much grief you're going through.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
That was. You ever hear Stan Lee talk about the big appeal of the X-Men? Since we're to get to Marvel, was the idea that before Spider-Man and before the X-Men, superheroes didn't have problems. They were superheroes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But the
Yeah,
X-Men, the X-Men were teenagers. They had problems. They had, their life wasn't Superman's life. It wasn't like that. They had to struggle, and that's what made them so relatable. Peter Parker is a kid who can't get his shit together.
Oh yeah.
no matter how hard he tries.
Oh yeah, yeah, and life comes at him. That's why those characters really took off. Now I do have. Since you mentioned Batman, I have a gaming related segue from that. But before I do, I want to get into one quick thing. Have you ever heard anyone explain the Wolverine syndrome to you?
I would love for you to go into it and make sure that we're speaking the same language.
Well, I certainly will. The Wolverine syndrome. The Wolverine syndrome.
I think I know where it's going.
The Wolverine syndrome exists when, in any sort of media, you have a character who cannot die,
Okay.
surrounded by other characters who are bitches, like Scott Summers, known as Cyclops, the big blue bitch. I can't stand him. So in every outing, when there's Wolverine and any of the other X-Men, Wolverine has to be the one to get the shit kicked out of him, even though he's the most badass and the coolest, because if you beat the shit out of Scott Summers the way you beat the shit out of Wolverine, he would die. So Wolverine's got to take the abuse. So I have to watch the best X-Men, Wolverine, get the shit kicked out of him, because everybody else would curl it up, pack it in, and go home early. That's the Wolverine syndrome.
I mean, seriously, you've got a character that can go toe-to-toe with the Hulk on any given Sunday. Like, you're not... Yeah, what are you going to do? The only people that truly pose a threat to Wolverine in general, just off of sheer force, you've got to be an Omega-level mutant to really, like, even, like, hurt him. The only one that has successfully like really fucked him up was one Magneto.
Yep.
By ripping the animanium out of him.
Right.
Which in the long run actually helped him.
Yeah, and in the long run it helped him.
Because he's that badass.
Because but it's the thing from epic rap battles with Gandalf. Death doesn't kill me; it only makes my wife lighter.
Yep.
Like. And the other one that was just like, holy shit, was the Hulk. When you go into the Old Man Hulk series and the Old Man Logan series, and Hulk rips him in
half. Yeah, pulls his spine apart. Yeah,
half of him one way, half of him the other, and he claws his way back to his bottom.
Yeah.
Like,
well, there was.
You guys were talking about Superman, Wolverine, and these, super indestructible characters. Yet they're huge franchises, and they're doing tremendously well. I think the one thing about Superman, I do love when Superman stories go interdimensional. You guys are Splintered Reality. When there's a Superman versus an alternate Superman, they never disappoint. Those stories never disappoint.
Well, because you put an equal.
Well, no, and that's what I'm saying, and I wanted to say this. Merwin kind of glossed that Superman needs something else, and those stories seem to be really good. And it's the same thing with Wolverine. When they had nothing left for Wolverine, then you came out with Weapon X, and then they came out with, and of course, that was the evolution of Deadpool.
Yes.
Deadpool was Wolverine X, and then of course an R-rated Peter Parker who could say whatever the fuck he wanted to say, and that blew it up. And now that movie what I've seen about that movie, you guys got to be pumped for that movie coming up
Oh no!
Oh,
super
absolutely.
because he's gonna kill everything. I totally can't wait.
That's what I heard. They might spin that story around the Deadpool kills the MCU.
It kills the Fox.
He's gonna kill. Yeah, they're gonna do him killing the Fox MCU. It's gonna be great.
I'm really okay with that. But no, you're right. But they had to work in that Superman was weak to magic. That's one of their things. That way he could you could have the interactions with like Black Adam. Why they could stand up to him and whatnot. Which again, I don't mind some of that. I get it. And you can't kill off your characters. These are all things that are going to happen. But there was just I could never connect with Superman. But Batman, back to Batman, and my segue into the gaming side of this. So, I have a long-standing argument with one of my old school players, and it focuses around morality in the game. And I made this point that, Wolverine, as awesome as he is not this as much a hero as Batman is. Because Batman can die, and even though it would be easier, he doesn't kill. At least the classic versions don't. Wolverine is cool as hell, but he can't die, so there isn't the same risk for him tangling with the villains, and he will just straight up murder people if he needs to. And my friend, we had a big argument about this because he points out that he doesn't think killing the bad guys is evil, right? That killing him isn't a bad thing, and that Batman's a fool for not doing it. So the gaming spin I want to ask you about is, where do you stand in gaming? And I know you mentioned you play Vampire, and that's got a different morality than D&D does. I'm a huge fan of like Cyberpunk and Shadowrun, and those have a different morality than normal heroic fantasy does. But where do you stand on that idea of the characters and the morality in the game? Do you care when they go out and slaughter a camp full of orcs? Do you play that emotion up in a game? And then you play alternate systems, like I said, Vampire and whatnot, where it's different. How do you reconcile all those things? Do you gloss over it? Do you hand wave it? Do you get into it? What are your thoughts?
Oh man, as a DM, I have a terrible habit of causing Artex moments. So if they go super like murder hobo and decide that they're going to kill a whole bunch of people, I will let them like create bonds with specific creatures and NPCs and then kill the fuck out of them in revenge.
I love it.
Okay, yeah.
I am so chaotic neutral in my general belief system.
Okay.
That there's something about like, okay, it's you want to look at me. You said nothing as you like were slitting the throats of the villagers that were literally like sitting there mourning the loss of their king, and you just did it because you didn't want to get caught behind enemy lines, not thinking that these people were just mourning. Like these were peasants. Peasants, god damn it.
Oh, we kill him. We kill him.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. But no, that's one of those things. So I like the undead are my favorite enemies because they're cool, but also there isn't any of that kind of morality worked into it, right?
Right.
When I was younger, as a younger DM, never gave a second thought to where orc babies come from, and to this poor little goblin just trying to grow up right. None of that. They were faceless masses of irredeemable evil things, right? But as I've gotten older, matured as a storyteller, and got into different things, more diverse stuff, I started to realize, well, I mean, they got to come from somewhere, and what is the impact of that, And it gives me pause when I think about, throwing out the hordes to slaughter and whatnot, and if they're out marauding and they die because they have to die, so be it. But when the party's going to do something, and they have that choice to avoid them, or they find their base and their camp, and like you said, they want to go murder hobo. I don't know how I feel about that. And I don't know if a lot of games. Everyone's different. That's one of the things that I've learned too. That every table's different, and every player's different. So I think about the morality. You punish the murder hobos, which I respect. That, by the way, I'm a big fan of murdering the murder hobos. But yeah, I mean, how do the rest of the band? Let me ask you guys. When you're in games and whatnot, do you like having that morality in there, or do you want just the clean, simple joy of mowing down a horde of
anything,
monsters? Yeah.
Depending on the situation, I'm most definitely murdering hobos.
Okay.
Most definitely, I'm more of a neutral individual. So
Okay.
Yeah, I'm more.
I think that has a lot to do with it too. I think a lot more of your personality comes across sometimes when you're playing. Like if you're not, if you're a pacifist person, you don't pick a fighter, and you don't put yourself in that fighting situation. What do you play? What character class do you play?
Oh,
when you play? Yeah.
Or if
so what kind of a character do you normally
What kind of character do you normally
play? A wizard, barbarian?
Oh yeah, wizard. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Slow for a second.
No, that's all right, man. Right? See, that's the same thing. Like if you're the wizard, you're the guy that sits back. You're not ready to jump right in. But you heard barbarian though. I mean, if you're a barbarian, that's sometimes you want to get in
right,
there.
That's,
right?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm a paladin. So, I'm very rarely like the guy that's not DMing. But when I have my chance, I'm a paladin of Cthulhu. So it's just like, of course,
I like it.
That's what a lead singer does. He goes boldly forward, carrying his mace of truth and justice.
I was gonna say bard maybe too. You could have a little bard dip there, right?
My son plays a bard, and oh my god, bardic inspiration is the bane of my existence. It will be like they'll summon a Demilich, and next thing you know, like we're failing miserably. Bardic fucking inspiration.
Let's add that 8-sided.
Hey, speaking of that, and speaking of music and gaming and that, are you guys familiar with the All for One YouTube channel?
All for One YouTube channel.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna turn you on to this. So they do little D&D skits, right? And they now have 2 musicals. One is called Bardic Inspiration. Nice. It is like a 6-minute music video. It pumps me up. I watch it before games. I recommend checking it out.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. So it's called Bardic Inspiration, and then the newest one they put out was a Duel of Bards, I think it's called, or 2 Bards. I don't know, but check it out. Like I
think I may have seen these, and you guys see we plug people we don't even know we're plugging. So
dig it, man.
Everybody.
Look, we're all one community, right?
That's what I say.
Well, we certainly should be.
I was on a panel for Con Carolinas back 2019, and it was one of those like panels that you're on that kind of like change your perspective on everything. And it was all about how us as a nerd culture need to stop segregating ourselves and having one-upmanship on being a nerd. Oh yeah, well I watch Next Gen. Well, oh yeah, well I've got this, that, and the other, and I've got the entire blah blah, and that was crap because Chakotay wasn't a part of that, and blah blah. Like we need to like chill and respect each other's nerddom as it comes.
I was at many a Star Trek convention where I'd be just like, dude, let's just have a drink and not argue about why the Klingons don't look so human anymore, okay?
Right.
Let's just
Like,
hang out,
it-
have a drink. It's all right. It's all right.
I love that. I like that in the DS9 episode where they're like, "Hey, wait a second, Worf. Why don't they look like you?" And he goes, "We don't talk about it."
Right,
We
right.
don't talk about it.
We just don't talk about it. We just have a drink.
See now, okay, so
Raise your Romulan ale, man.
now, so here's the thing. So clearly, so I'm different. So obviously, I have a different opinion than you guys do. So, and again, not that I'm saying there aren't malicious gatekeeping shitbags out there. There certainly are, but I love the arguments, and I'm not doing it to demean the other person, but I like I said, I like to have that battle about Batman versus Superman, X-Men versus Justice League.
Totally. Hell yeah.
So, but
I think
what
Rick is
I'm
right,
saying
though. Rick
is-
is right. Go ahead, Rick. Go.
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have those debates. I think those debates are fun. But there's a difference between a debate and an argument, right? Debates are done with respect and like honoring the other person, like how they're coming to the table, right? It's when you get into like this petty, like, I won't even let you like sit at the cool kids table because you're not down with like you haven't actually read any of the ancient Sith lore. Like, who
gotcha.
fucking cares, man? Like, can we still have a conversation about like who's the coolest Sith ever? Yes, of course we can.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's the thing. Now, see, maybe it might be a generational thing too, though, because like I said, you guys look like you're a little younger than I am.
No. Well, a
little bit. But when I was coming up, though, it, like I said, it was the kind of thing that you didn't broadcast it. I mean, you were in your cliques, people kind of knew different things, but like you were always worried about people that were gonna come in and fuck with you.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think some of that's a holdover from trying to kind of insulate or protect yourself.
I think you got something there but by trying to protect ourselves, those gatekeeping kind of feels that end up happen in like the same way that we were made fun of by the bullies in the school, right? So for liking these quote unquote nerdy things. What's funny is the nerds, like you said, how do you reconcile being a nerd and a rock star? At this point in time, they're the same damn thing. Because people are turning to us like, we want something that's meaningful. We want something that like we can relate to. Well, you kind of have to turn to nerd culture to be relatable.
Well, and more than that, I think you're onto something as well. Let me follow up to that. I think this is one of the biggest things that has turned, from geek to chic, essentially, is that there's so much of popular culture, at least grown up, that it's nothing. It's cotton candy and bullshit. There's no substance to it. The people, like, the things that they're into, they're not really into. But no one can deny the passion of the nerd, right? You can't. And I think that when people get past the point where they're past the high school bullshit and they're making those choices about their life and what's worth their time and the kind of person they're going to ultimately be, I think they look at people like us, people that have passions they're really into. Nerding is a big one, music is a big one, and they go, I don't have anything in my life that I care about that much. And they realize what they're missing out on.
Well, you see, the problem is the pop century gave us all this media that people can hold on to. So when I was a little kid, and everybody's saying, "Oh, they shouldn't be watching TV," and the blah 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 blah. There is some truth to that. You can't worship it at one point where it's all believable, all knowing, and doing everything. But in the same respect, if we didn't have Star Trek and Star Wars, we wouldn't have cell phones today. So I mean, So you gotta look at the balance of both things, as it pushes us forward, we evolve. We keep evolving. And I think about like you guys do the Necromonicon, right? And H.P. Lovecraft, brilliant writer, turn of the century before the pop century, decides I'm gonna scare the shit out of people and make this book that like can call demons and is it real? Is it not real? It don't fucking matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's because the cultness of it is still with us. All the pop bullshit and the evolution of everything else we've seen happen, but the mystery of that madness is still the mystery, right?
So like one of the things that like always drew me to D&D in general was the idea that you can anything that NPCs or your players put energy into can eventually reach God status. So if enough players or characters or whatever worship something, that power stays with it, and it can become a god, right?
Right.
So isn't that the like? Aren't the things that we've been talking about like? Aren't they American religion? Like, but because of the ooh, we went there.
I was gonna say, and then you have people gathering at a table and they're
it's the American religion, right? Because we don't have gods in America.
No,
so
it's our
what do we
mythology.
have?
It's our mythology. Star Wars.
We have our mythology is Spider-Man. Our mythology, our Hercules is Tony Stark.
Right.
Absolutely. And then you put towards you talk about yes, H.P. Lovecraft very harsh as far as like the writing itself goes and his personal beliefs, but the fact that we've taken that entire universe and turned it into something for us that is free of his personal hatreds that's the American way. That's how.
And we were talking about this on our show. We were talking about at the end of the Civil War, death was all the rage, and Ouija boards hit like the top of the scene because everyone wanted to talk to the dead, and like America's had this obsession with the occult for years, and they just keep hiding it and hiding it and hiding it and pretending we don't have it. But it's
we are amazing at ignoring the things that we don't want to see, or hiding stuff away. 100%. I will tell you though, man, I get the appeal of the RPGs, and the best part is that in an RPG, you can be anything you want to be. If you're short, you can be tall. If you're fat, you can be athletic. If you're cowardly, you can be a hero. You can play characters that are all the things that you're not. Like me, my characters have sex all the time and never pay for it. It's a total trip for me.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, man. He always does that. He always does that to me.
Well, I gotta work that shit in there. I got a bunch of them. Like I said, they're bad jokes, but I love them. But no, I'm with you 100% though, that there's something there in how it's treated and the change. And I agree with you 1,000%. One of the things that's the worst thing we can do is hold on to that gatekeeping, and make people unhappy about what they love, right? That shit drives me nuts, and it's one of the things I didn't come to until I was an older gamer, is this idea that like every table's different, every gamer is different, what they want from the game is different, and that's okay, and just because I like to abuse my players with psychological trauma, and keep them on the verge of death every fight. Just because I enjoy that doesn't mean every player does. I had a game that kind of imploded, and one of the guys that quit initially, he goes, I don't want to play in a game where I feel like my character's going to die all the time. And I'm like, I respect that. We definitely should never have started playing the game together, because that's not how it's going to work for me. But no, it is terrible, and I've seen it. Firsthand with people that are uber nerds. I remember when I was a teenager, I hadn't started playing tabletop war games yet, and I found Mech Warrior, right? BattleTech.
Oh, fun, yeah.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of my like math nerd journey, where I was really trying to break the games, right? But I remember I was a
Thank God you piqued somebody's interest back there.
Yeah.
I like that game.
Well, here's the thing. I'll tell you. I'll finish this. I'll tell you a story about how I broke the game for a person. They never played it again after they got done with me. But no, I remember getting the books the first time, and I'm like, I got this cool idea. I'm gonna build on a 75-ton chassis, and I'm gonna have a Gauss rifle and 2 LRGs. And the goddamn juniors and seniors were like, do you have the super extended rule book? Oh, you don't know about extra long range? I mean, your mech's just not going to work in the game we play. And it's like, dude, like, I'm enthusiastic about your fucking hobby that the 3 of you play in a basement. And like, I could be the 4th guy, but you're so interested in proving how much nerdier you are than me that you make me want to tell you to go fuck yourself. And so I've dealt with that shit firsthand. I get it, and we should not do that. Debate, yes. Exclude, no. I'm 100% with you on that.
That's an interesting thing too about the D&D table. We're talking about the game and particulars of the game, and I'm sure you guys see it in a band. When you start playing a campaign, you sort of become a family, and I'm saying outside of the game. And I mean, do you guys feel that as a band too? Like, right?
Hang out with the same people every week. You're gonna like start talking about personal things, and then you get to know them, and then you're hanging out, and then you're like, man, I like these people.
Yeah, and that's how we build bridges. I mean, and that's the whole point why we're doing this, and we got all of us all here together in our geekdomness, because that's what this has been all about for us at Dungeons.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the things I heard a while back, man. That if you really want to know, if you really want to know you got a good gaming group going on, is how much stuff do you guys do together when you're not playing the game?
Right.
And that's the thing. The kids that I came up with, my 3 of my best friends, we all gamed together and we hung out afterwards. And to this day, they're the people I'm closest to in the world. And then there are other people that we know that like I played games with them, but I never hung out with them outside. And you know what? I don't really talk to those people. Like, I'm friendly when I run into them. I'm happy they're doing well in life, but like I don't go out of my way to talk to some of those guys. So I saw you peek up when I mentioned Mech Warrior. Tell me, what do you got? What's your story?
Well, it was just I played the PC game back in the day.
Yep, same here. Dude,
Yeah,
I went to. Go ahead.
Oh, it was like it was so long ago I can't remember which one it was. I think it was like it was like 2, and then there was like an expansion that we got. And my uncle kind of turned me on to Mech Warrior, and that was like I don't even think I was playing online. Online was like that was next level stuff back then, because you had to have it was real internet. Yeah. Oh yeah. The AOL days.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm with you. I remember. So we had a couple of stories. So I went to Gen Con twice in the 90s, and I went the year where they were putting out the first Mech Warrior game, and their display for it was the actual pilot console. So you go and you would sit down. It wasn't just a normal chair, unfortunately, but you sit down in your chair, you pull up, but it had panels and dials and buttons all around you, and the screen was in the center like it was your cockpit, and you had the joysticks. Dude, I was hooked, right? I got that shit, and we started to play online, and I knew I was going to have a rough go because I had poverty tier internet. I knew it was going to be a problem. I knew it was going to be a problem when my buddy whose parents had money was pulling the fucking Picard maneuver on me. I'm like, you're fucking dead! I fire the machine guns, and then all of a sudden, his 80-ton Atlas goes from here, bam, to right in front of me, and I'm dead. And I'm like, you didn't even move! He's doing. I walked right over. You're just standing still. And I'm like, fuck this internet.
that was definitely the internet.
Oh yeah, dude. I remember, dude. I remember the X band for the Super Nintendo. That's how I remember that shit. Playing it right, and because of the lag, you could play Mortal Kombat, and you could infinitely spear somebody with Scorpion, and they would never recover because of the lag in it. You could just keep doing it. It was so fucking cheesy. I loved it. But dude, let me tell you, Mech Warrior. Let me tell you, we're getting deeper into the podcast, man. I appreciate you guys hanging out. For those of you at home or listening afterwards, remember, like, share, subscribe. Check us out on Patreon and all of our socials. Check the band out. Check out Barry the Movie Demon and his stuff on YouTube. So, quick Mech Warrior. So this is the problem. So I'm a competitive gamer. If a game can be head to head, I have to win. I don't want you to have fun. I want to win. Right? So when I played Magic, the ideal scenario was I sit down, I shuffle, you don't do anything, you're miserable, and you quit the game when I'm done with you because I want to win. I could give a shit, right? So those kids did that to me with BattleTech, and we kept playing it. And I remember sitting there with my friend Sean. We're over at our buddy Doug's house having the sleepover. We played a couple, and we were going to play a big BattleTech game in the morning. We built a giant 4x4 board. We had the miniatures. And I'm sitting there going, God, okay, I got to win tomorrow. What am I going to do? And I'm going through the rule book just back and forth. And I go, hey, on a second. I go, is this a misprint? It says machine guns don't build up any heat. He goes, no, they don't. Yeah, but they're garbage. Why would you use those? They only do 2 points of damage. Well, they only take up one slot, right? Yeah. So if I don't need heat sinks, I could put 80 machine guns on one battle mech. And they all come with 10 rounds of ammo, so I can fire 10 times. So I strip all the armor off, 80 machine guns. I'm rolling 80 sets of 2d6 to hit, doing 2 damage. Now, here's the thing. Every time you roll, though, you could get a critical. It doesn't matter how shitty the weapon is. A critical hits core slots, can cause engine malfunctions, kill the pilot. And I go, well, hang on. I go, what's the math on this? I go, if I run around, I need a 7 to hit. And I roll 80 sets of dice. I'm going to get 40 hits. That's 80 damage for 0 heat. I can do it 10 rounds in a row. And machine guns cost like $1 fucking dollar. So I can take like a 40-ton mech, put a fast engine and nothing but machine guns. I can make fucking 7 or 8 of them. And I can just fucking run all over the board and just get in your ass and blow you up. And my buddy goes, my friend Sean goes, I think you're onto something. So we built that, right? We built the Thompson Gunner that night.
The Thompson Gunner,
yeah.
really?
Oh, yeah, swear to God. Yeah, because of that song, right? Because of that song. We played the next day, and we fucking obliterated our buddy Doug, right? And we're like, okay, dude, well, now we got to go to the big leagues, though, because Sean's friend Neil and his buddy Trevor were the ones that introduced us to the game. So they were serious players. They played all the time. So I show up. We set the game up, and I go, all right, my Lance is going to be 8 mechs. They're 45-ton Thompson Gunners. And I go, well, okay, cool. What kind of weapons you got? I go, they got machine guns. And they're all like, oh, they're laughing at me, right? So round 1, move 1. I fucking move full speed. I get behind a 100-ton mech that Trevor's playing. I go, okay, I'm going to hit you with my machine guns. He goes, okay, well, whatever. What do you got? Like, well, how many? What do you got? Like 10 of those? I go, I have 80 of them. What? I go, it's every slot in the mech. You go check. You can check it out. It's all legal. He looks at it. Well, yeah, but you're going to run out of ammo. And they only do 2 damage each. I go, I know, but I have 80 of them. So I take every dice we have in the house. And I'm like, in a fucking bucket. Boom, roll it out. Okay. I got 8 hits here, 20 more, 9 hits. Boom, I got 10 more hits. There's 17 criticals. I'm in your back. You only got 40 points of armor. I strip that. I roll my criticals. I blow your 100-ton mech up. First round of the game with one of these. I got 7 of them. And Trevor looks at me and he goes, all right, I'm never playing this game again. And just fucking put the books down and walked out. Never played another round of BattleTech.
That game
fucking
was
broke
over.
him. Fucking broke him.
It was over.
Oh.
And that box went on the shelf.
Oh, absolutely. Never play with them again, but it's one of my favorite memories, man. So, well, hey guys, so we're at like the 2.5 hour mark, man. I really appreciate you guys being here. I hope, I know it goes. This thing, I could talk about nerd shit forever. I know you guys can. Obviously, it's our passion. We love it. We can talk about music and stuff. So normally, here's what we do at the end of the show. We go around. Start of the show. Normally, we do your week in gaming, right? So rather than me and Doc get into this like we normally do, I'm just going to quickly cover the fact that we did our playtest for our upcoming Kickstarter. We got through the last session of Titan's Peak. It turns out that I write too many words and far too complicated mechanics. In fact, Doc just quit on me because I poisoned his character with radiation so much he couldn't play anymore.
I did not quit on you. That's a whole nother story for another show.
I know, I'm joking. I'm kidding a little bit, but no, we finished our Kickstarter. We're setting up another one. Dungeon Studios is always happy to talk to new people, creative people, and we're always looking for play testers. Our Kickstarter is going to come out again on Black Friday, so just a couple of days. You're going to spend money on gifts. If you've got a nerd in your life, please support us. Support, small time local creators, indie games.
DungeonStudios.co. DungeonStudios.co.
Yep, that's our website. You can get copies of the Enron Chronicle, our monthly e-zine, up there for free. We have a Patreon. There's much more content on there as well. Please check us out.
Check out some Doc Pretorius creations on that magazine too.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank everybody for listening to us so far. So the last thing we normally do is how'd your week in gaming go? So rather than me and Doc get into it anymore, I want to turn it over to you guys. Did you guys play any games this week? How'd they go? Any stories for us to see us out to the end of the night?
Oh, man. Okay. Well, yeah, I've been playing Skyrim. And I haven't done the... So, yeah, all right, so there's this thing where you can take this potion, and if you, do a series of, going into and out of the menu, you can, overpower your character and it takes all the fun out of it. It really does.
But you're going to attempt it anyway. You're going to attempt
it
anyway.
Juggernaut. Yeah. I can carry... I can pick up and save all the items in the game, and I don't get overburdened. And also HP up the.
So you don't have.
Sit there.
So you don't have to explore the map with chunky diaper mode.
No. Yeah. You can put it on full expert mode and just go through and easy playing. That's what I like to do. Yeah.
Hey, you know what, man? Just because I like to buy the new Batman game, put it on murder mode, and get killed 175 times by the first boss in the demo in the intro, does not mean you got to suffer like I do. I'm down with it.
Yeah, well, that's the other end of the spectrum. Actually, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm the person I made Dark Souls for because I like to suffer.
Yeah.
All right, Almighty, what do you got for us? What'd you do this week?
This week, there's a game called Anthem that I'm currently pretty much god-tiering on that game as well, along with Toots. I'm pretty much walking through maps, just destroying as I go.
And that's also with other people, so it's not there's I don't know. I guess you're just that's cooler. It's cooler. That's cooler.
What is that called? Called?
Anthem.
Yes. There's parties and chat.
It's kind of like a mech suit game.
Yeah.
You can fly around, but there's also you can play with other people. It's
all right.
It's neat.
Well, let me ask you, man. So I am a reformed, retired, or burnt out League of Legends player. So in Anthem, are people telling you that you want you to die of cancer and they're going to fuck your mother, or is it not that kind of game?
It can most definitely be that game if you are that level of player and don't care.
You run any kids that talk like that?
You run around and just.
You remember that day where you got that message that said, "One day I'm going to fuck your mother," and then afterwards I'm going to come up to you, pat you on the head, and call you champ. Well, how you doing, champ?
When they send me the messages are you even having fun anymore?
So I don't play online.
Yeah, I like you said, man. I like the competitive games, and I got League of Legends, man. That game fucking killed me because, dude, nothing is worse than getting in there and you get put up with 4 randoms and you're pulling an A tier game and somebody quits, somebody's never played the game before. It's just like, oh god, so frustrating, man. But I'm with you. All right, well I guess Rick. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I like what I like about League of Legends is that it's kind of episodic. Like you start and finish a match, and you just
goes from beginning to end, and there's it happens in one sitting. I like that.
Yeah, no, definitely good. But dude, let me tell you something, man. I don't knock single player games and I realize that since we're talking about music, I'll throw this Last Connection in there. One of the games that I never got into early, and then I find myself addicted to, was Minecraft. And I think a lot.
Yeah.
Besides being a builder, I like to build shit. But
Minecraft.
the fucking music in the background of that mellow. I will just sit there for hours. It's the most relaxing thing on the planet.
Meditative, man.
We're
Yeah,
talking about
it's
what
great.
frequency it is, man.
Which
Yeah,
goes
100%.
back to the frequencies that the doc
Exactly.
was telling you about, man. He's just like, he's all over, man. He's like a god, man. He knows things,
So
man.
did you guys know where Arkham Asylum came from?
So Arkham being the town that was used within the Lovecraft world.
Yes, and then of course ripped off.
Oh yeah.
Or Batman.
Yeah, it's perfect, and full circle. I love that. We just lots of circles.
Well, since we're going full circle, so there is the theory with Batman that he went mad as a child, and the entire Batman universe is his delusions dealing with him being in Arkham.
Yes.
And who's this now? Yeah, sure, maybe the murder of his parents drove him over the edge, but to get that level of madness, maybe he glimpsed something that he shouldn't have seen, something beyond he can't understand. And we find out that Arkham is not in Gotham, but it is in the Lovecraft universe. Batman
is it in Ipswich, potentially.
Bruce Wayne was driven mad by the things beyond, and his Arkham is Lovecraft's Arkham. Everything.
I'm down. I'm totally down.
Certainly could be.
You got me too.
That's why it's so dark and gritty.
I'm here for that crossover.
I'm here. I'm
I'm down. I'm down for it as well. I do like the one where the alternate where Bruce Wayne dies and his father's Batman and his mother's a Joker. I love that one.
Yes. I'm all about that.
All right. Well, we are at the 2.5 hour mark. We've done some plugs. We've talked to the band. I've had a great time. I hope you guys have enjoyed your conversation. I'm going to close out, as I usually do, with some shit that I hate. This week, shit that I hate is that there's not enough time to have games and to be with the people that really, truly bring you joy. We have lives, we have commitments, we have wives and girlfriends, if you're lucky, or boyfriends, whatever you're into. I don't judge.
And we can bring our this week in gaming next week because we don't have gaming this week.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, they got the whole family time.
Yeah.
And if you think for a minute that Thanksgiving dinner is anything except for one big giant campaign of who's going to survive once the turkey is carved and everybody's going for the drumstick, just picture it where like instead of Aunt Bethel being old ass Aunt Bethel, just picture her as a warrior elf trying to feed her young. That done.
Wait, I'm gonna do you one better. Thanksgiving dinner with the family is a game of diplomacy, secret alliances, secret messages, everyone working for their own goal.
Yes.
Backstabbing each other. It's all there. And I gotta tell you, as a representative of separate but equal Antarctica, I want no part of the madness. So, guys, once again, everybody, this is Splintered Reality. Thank you guys for coming on the show. Check their website out. Check out dungeonstudios.co. Check out our Kickstarter coming out on Black Friday. And as I keep trying to work on this outro, we all play role-playing games and tabletop games because they are limitless. So why listen to conversations that are any different? Have a good night, Internet. Thanks, guys. And we'll see you guys next week.
Be ready to roll initiative always.